What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Amalgam Games Lab. I am your host, Shannon Haegler, and I am joined by Keena Johnston. Oh, that's the sound of a beery. Good beer. This is the show where we talk about the gaming industry, games news in general. Please make sure you check out the Amalgam show later on this week. That's pretty much all the housekeeping, isn't it? Yeah, other than comment below or email us at amalgamshow@gmail.com if you do have any questions, queries, statements. And if you enjoyed, please leave the like and subscribe. Did we go up a subscriber this week? I think we went to 34.
I don't think we did. We got a new subscriber, but we didn't get a new... But we just had 33.
Thought...
Oh no, we were at 34.
Yeah, I thought we lost one, and then we gained that person back, or maybe a new person, and we got another one. So, like, hey!
Nice.
We are on the upswing. Alright, cool. This has been a slow week.
Yeah.
For the gaming industry in general.
Been like a lot of small news, but nothing...
Yeah, which is the way it generally goes week after E3. Everyone's newsed out. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So...
Unless in video games, in other news, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
The rest of the world is falling apart.
Yeah, well, yeah, like real life news, that's fucked.
Yeah.
And then, like, even comic book news is like, DC fucked because everyone's left.
It's DC fucked. Oh, man. 10 reasons why. Anyway. So, essentially, we're just going to sort of touch on the... It's really weird using the word Fallout in video games.
Because of the video game
Fallout. God damn it. But...
Black Isle.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
90s.
But the aftermath, let's say, of the E3 announcements and sort of how this is all shaken out so far. We'll sort of touch on that, how we're feeling a week out. And then there's like a couple of new stories we want to get to step into, but we'll start with Keena. 1 week removed from E3. How you feeling?
I'm fine. I had like a weird mantra that I thought of in the shower. It's like every day is E3 if you love hype and excitement and announcements, but then you need those things to happen in order for it to be E3 every day. So it's not E3 every day. It's a flawed mantra. Okay. But anyway.
Wait, why did we bring this up?
I don't know. Because I just remembered it.
Oh, man.
I'm, like, I can keep going. Like, I want the momentum. And for me, I think I will get the momentum in my other fandoms, like San Diego Comic-Con next month.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I think, unto its own. But...
which has had a couple of game announcements over the last couple of years. A couple of things.
Spider-Man will have a huge presence there.
Yeah, and Doom, I think, did some stuff there one year, and pretty much any of the fighting games. Like, I think they announced a Street Fighter character there one year.
Yeah, they're usually in-game announcement, like character stuff, like DLC stuff. Yeah,
so that,
it's probably also the other thing is that that's where we'll probably see the PS4 Pro Spider-Man bundle and special edition.
No, okay, yeah.
We haven't seen it. Probably exists.
Probably exists. I'd hope so. I hope it looks like the PS3 fat.
It won't. Oh, I see where you're going, but yeah, no, it'll just be. Hopefully, it's coloured well because a lot of PS4s don't look good.
Oh, that new blue one they brought out looks alright.
Yeah, that one. Like lately, they've been good. Like the Kingdom Hearts one looks good. But a lot of them are just like slap a sticker on it and sell it.
Yeah, a lot of the Call of Duty ones look like that.
Yeah.
But like the last, I don't know. Maybe it's just Square Enix because the Final Fantasy one looks nice as well.
Yeah, it does.
So is the Destiny one.
That was like the first white one.
Yeah. No, the first. So the old model of the PS4, the Destiny bundle was. The Destiny one was the first time they released a white version of that SKU, but then when they did Destiny 2, they did a Pro, which not only was white, but also had a design on it.
Yeah.
So, and the Taken King did the similar thing as well, where it was like a white SKU, but also a design on it as well. And the design is really quite nice. So, they're getting better at it. I don't get special edition consoles.
I don't have that kind of money.
Well, I don't mean get them in terms of physically get them. I don't understand them because they're not. At the end of the day, in the internals, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to, like, I guess I could get it on resale value later on down the track. But like, it'd be a better investment to just get the collector's edition of that game that you really want. Because it'll be less investment up front, and it'll probably be worth about as much in however many years you're going to sell it off anyway.
Yeah. For me, special editions, like, I've never had one, but they would be for, like, just to have it as well. Like, for me, like, if I had the money, I would be buying the PS4 Kingdom Hearts Pro.
Yeah, if you can find the fucking thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can only get it, I think, through the Square Enix website, and you can't, and not in Australia, so...
Yeah.
But yeah.
Again, because Square Enix hates us.
Yeah. They don't know we exist.
Yeah.
My biggest fuck Square Enix is, like, the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Collector's Edition came with a plushie of the, like, the basic Heartless.
Yeah.
And it wasn't available in Australia.
Yeah, they just do those fucking pins.
We just got, like, a stupid, pin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my
They're real bad at that. It's weird, too, though, because they do, like, their Final Fantasy Collector's Edition usually come over
really
here.
good.
And usually come over here. Like, for the most part, they're over here.
I almost got the 13.2 one, but I waited too long to get it. So I'm like, oh, this will be fine. And then it's like, it's gone. I'm like, fuck.
Maybe it's a recent thing then, because I feel like I've done collector's editions for older Square Enix games and they've been fine. And there's been a lot of them, or enough to pre-order at least. But it's been recently where it's like, we're just going to do like 12, and fuck you guys. Like,
12 should have had a really good collector's edition.
I think it was that was kind of in the era before collector's editions.
Oh, you mean original 12?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Zodiac Age.
No, Zodiac Age did have a steelbook edition.
Yeah.
And the steelbook is nice. It's a very nice steelbook. But I don't think collector's editions for remakes is really necessary. But I'm thinking more like
maybe not like it feels like for a good remake, like not like
like
an upscale, more like an actual remake. No, like
maybe 7. Maybe 7. I'll have a good one.
Yeah.
But like Type 0 had a really nice collector's edition. It comes in quite a nice box. Comes with an art book.
Came with the manga.
Yeah, it's really really good. But the rest of the time it's pretty shitty. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things coming off the back of E3 in terms of. I mean, general sentiment seems to be that Microsoft seems to have done the best.
Best
work.
My thing, is that they won in terms of like they won because they showed the most. They like most diverse. We have a future for them.
Yeah.
Whereas PlayStation is the 4 games they showed. Resident Evil 2, which was a good announcement. There was another game they announced. Control looks great, but like DMC 5. Nier Automata coming to the Xbox. There's a bunch of other announcements. Like their world premieres. Like that's why I feel people are too hard on Xbox just because they probably label it like world premiere. Like basically the first time you're going to see this, it's just extra marketing.
Yeah.
Whereas Sony, when they show things off for the first time, is like, oh my god, they're the best. But it's still the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean it's just the way that. It's the way that Xbox does it, I think.
Yeah,
their presentation. It's the black screen, the effect, the words on the screen, the deep voiceover, world premiere.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's a Sony world premiere or something like that, they just kind of flash the words on the screen and then they just get straight into it. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, this is something I've never seen before. What is it?
Yeah.
Instead of having it in your ear. And especially because they have such different ways of like world premiere console launch exclusive. You're like, what does that even? Fuck off.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think Microsoft had the most stuff to show.
50 games.
But they've done this before, cards on the table. I think Microsoft probably had the best press conference. I'm pretty confident.
I think Sony's is brought down just because of the stupid shuffle they had to do.
Yeah. And we'll try and I'm going to try and separate the way it was actually like performed, quote unquote, from what they actually showed.
Yep.
And I think even then Microsoft probably had the best showing.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've been sort of bandying around in my head over the last week has been like, they've done this before.
Yeah.
They've done this exact pitch before, like 2 or 3 years ago, where they were like, we're going to show some dumb number of games, some dumb number of world premieres, and some dumb number of exclusives. Yeah. And
that's the thing.
2 years later, we had nothing to show for it.
Yeah. And I think this time, because these games are like closer in development, like currently DMC 5 75% done.
Yeah. But the thing is, like DMC 5, that's not going to be an exclusive.
No. But it is...
Like, that's the other thing that, like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, cool, they did have a lot of, like, world premieres, which is awesome, but a lot of those were third-party games as well. It's like, that's
a lot of people say, like, Microsoft is, like, Sony's first press conference.
Yeah.
Which is a bit mean,
still going to come to the PlayStation. It's their exclusives that that sell their system, and those exclusives are good to great, depending on how you're looking at it, or who you are and what games you prefer.
Yeah.
But I still feel like the biggest news out of Microsoft's press conferences were the acquisitions.
The acquisitions.
The 5 studio acquisitions are the big deal, because that tells me that there is a future in Microsoft Studios games, in Xbox branded games.
And I think that's the message they wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Halo, you know that we know that you know that we're working on it, so we're just going to let you know. Gears, the 3 of them coming. You can, whatever fandom you're a part of, you can have
pick
it.
one.
Cyberpunk, we know that's the way there. I wonder if this is going to be their sort of Last of Us.
I don't think so, because Cyberpunk's going to come to this PlayStation,
I know,
isn't it?
yes, it is, but I wonder if they're going to treat it like that for themselves in terms of like, it'll come back every year. Like, we'll have like a yearly update with them.
I doubt it.
Because like, CD Projekt Red does do that in terms of like, people saying like, I didn't, like, the press who were there saying I didn't go and see Cyberpunk because I had to see a million other games. And when Witcher was here, it was like I played it at 3 different E3s. And so I will have a chance to play it. So probably they'll come to more E3s, and I'll just like, if they treat it as like one of the, even if it's like, Ghost of Tsushima's only been at 2 E3s, or even Spider-Man. Spider-Man probably the best one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean though. But like, it'll just be.
It'll be there perpetually. I mean, I would totally expect to see it again. Like, like I don't know if we expect to see a trailer again, because CD Projekt Red is so good at their like. If they intend to do something, they will intend to do it. So, if this is their first drop, I'm expecting a release pretty soon. Did they not put a date on that thing?
They didn't. And apparently, it's running on like $2,000 like PCs, so it's going to probably be crossed.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing. Sort of coming out of that was people saying like, I think it was Eurogamer. Was it Eurogamer or a PC Mag? I can't remember. Did the interview or tried to did the breakdown of what the PC was that was running that demo.
Oh, that's
and it's like, that's not
indicative.
No, it's not. It never is, because what is shown at E3, and this is where some of the problems do arise from E3 in general, is that it's trying to be more of a consumer show, but it is essentially a trade show. It is a media show for people in the media to see things that no one else will see. Like, no one else has seen this Cyberpunk thing. It's just the media.
Even the behind closed doors is still media based.
Yeah,
like,
and it's still
behind closed doors at PAX.
Yeah,
like,
and in order to run that thing in its current build and state, yeah, sure, it needs a 1080 Ti and a Core i7 and like 16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
But when they optimize and when they finally get this thing out the door, I mean, it's probably not going to look as great, but it'll run on an Xbox One, it'll run on a PS4, because everything is developed on a 1080 Ti with a ridiculous amount of hardware. And the other thing is, what they saw was a vertical slice from that game, and honestly, a lot of those times, those demos are the kind of thing where if you turn too far to the left, the whole thing breaks. Yeah. Because they're designed to be very specifically played in a way to show you what this game is going to look and feel like, not what the game actually is.
Yeah, that's usually not till it's the last E3.
Yeah, and then they'll drop a proper beta or a demo or something like that, and then you'll see the gameplay footage. They'll actually let you
Kingdom
record.
Hearts at the moment, they drop you in these worlds, and you can pretty much run around the whole place. Like, it's not...
It's the game.
The specific corridor.
Yeah, it's the game.
Yeah.
So like the fact that that thing seems to be running on hardware that is ridiculous. I mean, the dev kits. I mean, it's different now because the Xbox, they've been trying to sort of push towards that thing of like the idea that your console can be a dev kit if you want it, which is doable. Every Xbox One out there has, if you apply and pay them a fee, they basically flip a switch on the back end and your Xbox turns into a dev kit.
Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. That's been in there since day one on the Xbox One.
Cool.
Because that was, although they fucked it on like several different levels, that was one of the things they wanted to do, was to make development for the Xbox easier, and that was one of the things that they envisioned in having.
I can't wait for the next Xbox, because it'll be everything that the original Xbox was supposed to be, except a fucking dickhead about it.
Yeah. It'll be Phil Spencer. It'll be the Phil Spencer box. That's what you should call it. You should call it the Phil box.
The Phil box. X-Phil box.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft...
Xbox Phil.
Microsoft had a great showing.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where all that goes, but a week out now, I have to temper my expectations because, like I said, I've seen them do that pitch before, and not that long ago. Like within the last 3 years, they've done that exact same pitch. So we'll see where it goes. I'm still, pretty positive on Microsoft. I think it's interesting coming out of E3 seeing the other two big hardware players, Sony and Nintendo, both losing stock price for two different reasons.
What was Sony's? Well, let's go through the Nintendo's because you just told me about that one.
Yeah, well, Nintendo lost a bit of stock price off the back of their Nintendo Direct, and it seems that most analysts are pointing to like the fact that. Not the fact, but like a feeling that the Nintendo Direct was not as wide-reaching as they would have liked. I mean, like you watch that thing, it is like 20 minutes of Smash and then sort of everything else. And this was apparently by all the analysts and economists and all that kind of stuff, the people that crunch numbers and just do business things. Yeah. From a business perspective, the press conference was enough to shake their investors' confidence in the company. Which, that's the thing that, like, we as gamers might look at it and be like, what the fuck are you do? What do you mean? Yeah. But, like, business people...
Nothing new was announced, except a couple games, I think. Like
a couple of games that are only, like, really looking at the Japanese market.
Yeah.
With maybe some Western
like
stuff.
Game and X market.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
The expansion for Mario X Odyssey.
Oh, yeah, Mario Cross Rapids. But that was known.
Yeah,
it wasn't announced and didn't get an official trailer, but it was known.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting because I think
business people think about things in different ways than regular people do, and so I don't know what that means. I mean, you said it before we started recording that like chances are the next time a Direct happens, like a Nintendo Direct happens, that confidence will shoot back up because that's just the way it is. I mean, Pokemon Go has just introduced a bunch of new features.
Yeah, trading, friending.
Yeah, and whenever Pokemon Go starts to do a little bit better, Nintendo stock price goes up, and I have been seeing nothing but my Facebook page and Twitter feed filled with people trying to give friend codes to each other that, as far as I can tell, hadn't played Pokemon Go in a year and a half. I've started playing it again.
I've started playing it again for Let's Go.
Yeah, like, it's insane. Like, that thing will continue to do better and better, so, like, I don't think the Nintendo one's that big a deal. I just thought it was interesting off the back of that Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
What happened there?
What's Sony's reason?
So,
analysts believe
this is a bit more complicated. Now, there's a part of the reason is thought to be the press conference itself.
Like the presentation.
The presentation of it. It seemed to have been that people were impressed with the games, but the way it was done, I think there was a feeling that maybe Sony might be doing what we've feared they would be doing, which is getting back on that high horse and becoming old school Sony again.
Especially when we talk about our next topic.
And that was the second reason.
Yeah.
So the most major reason that analysts pointed to for the Sony stock price dropping is the crossplay on Fortnite. It is the reason that most analysts are like, they're fucking themselves. Their investors are not happy because they think that this is a bad move. The public is less trusting of Sony now because of what's happening. And now that we're a week removed, because we were talking about, I think we talked about this last week.
We did.
In one of the two podcasts about how, like, there's probably a reason it's technical or security or something like that. Yeah. And I was pretty set on it being a security factor.
Yeah. But
the problem is that they are increasingly making it worse and worse and not doing anything, to the point where I'm realizing, like, I think I've come around on the other end of this, of, like, they're just not doing it because it's a business thing.
It is. One of the former, like, top guys at CEO at Sony came out on Twitter and said, it's because of money. They don't want you buying on Xbox or Switch and then keep playing on... Like, they don't want that money going to Nintendo or Microsoft and you playing. But I'm like, I still don't even get that, because you can do the exact same thing on PC or mobile. You can give that money to Microsoft or to Apple, which are still big competitors, and then to, like, I don't get why these two particular consoles are locked out. Yeah, you can play it everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't understand it anymore. Like, it reached a point of, like, dude, this doesn't make any fucking sense, because, like, yeah, their explanation being that, like, okay, maybe I do get it a little bit of that. When someone's playing Fortnite on PS4, when they buy V-Bucks or whatever they're buying on there, the percentage of the cut of the microtransactions goes to them.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I don't. That's where the sense stops, because like I get it, cool. You want people in your ecosystem spending money in your ecosystem, but the point of crossplay is that the people who are already in your ecosystem get to play with people that aren't, and the people that aren't, they're not in your ecosystem anyway. You're not getting those dollars.
Yeah.
They're already going to Microsoft and Nintendo and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So why would you piss off your current consumer base? And it's like, even if I've been thinking about it, about like, what do you do? What do you like? Okay, fine. Allow me to link the Epic account across PlayStation.
Yeah, it should at least be cross progression. Like that's at least what people want. Crossplay. Yeah. I think people get crossplay, like more so than cross progression.
And it's that thing.
Yeah, that's the very particular one. Yeah.
Not even progression though. Like, I think people would probably be like, "This is shitty," but understand if Sony was like, you can log into your Epic account, link it to your PS4 account, but while you're playing Fortnite on PSN, you can only use items that you've bought through PSN.
That's what Android does. Well, Android iOS, you have a particular set. Like if you buy on Android, like if you buy not the in-game, but the extra currency, like jewels or whatever, you'll have that set, and then when you transfer over to the iOS version, you won't have that. It's the only thing, and then you have the two separate ecosystems.
But let me use the Epic account.
Yeah.
Let me just use the same account, because I'll buy $15 worth of V-Bucks on PSN, and I'll buy 15 on the PC, and I'll buy 15 over here, and I'll just have a bit on each of them, and you'll all get your cut. Yeah. Just let me fucking do it. But they won't even do that. It's the fact that if you even try to log in with your Epic account on a different system, it just says no.
Yeah.
And it's just hopeless. Like it. And this is where your fears from previous weeks are starting to finally creep into my head of, oh no, is Sony doing it again? Yeah. Like, are they PS3ing themselves again?
They're PS2ing themselves going into PS3.
Yeah, and it is... I look at Sean Layden and I'm like, he doesn't seem like a dumb guy.
Dude, I don't think it's just him.
No, but it's obviously not just him, because Sony is a much bigger corporation.
All Shuhei Yoshida.
No, but
you won't let us change our names.
I said this last week. The Sony is not just PlayStation. Sony is Sony Entertainment and Sony Movies and Music and all those, Sony TVs and cameras, and it is a company that stretches over so many different facets. And there are people at every point in that. There are people who, I have no doubt, there are people who make the digital cameras for Sony that probably have some sort of say in what PlayStation does. Because they're that high up the chain that they're like, well, I'm an executive and I don't want you losing that money because I need it to develop lenses.
I honestly would like to know that, because I watched that Phil Spencer interview with Jeff Gerstmann you recommended.
Yes.
Watched that, and he said he would report directly to the Microsoft CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Much like how Kevin Feige of Marvel and Kathleen Kennedy of Lucasfilm report directly to Disney's Bob Iger CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of do like that model. Like they're all their self-sufficient
Xbox
companies
is Xbox.
Within their own sub-companies. But I don't know if who reports to Kazurai, but Kazurai's gone now.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, fake Kazurai Twitter account.
Yeah, that was super weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
What?
He could have kept going.
He could have. I don't know why he just decided, oh, I'm out, guys, and did some big, giant Twitter... Anyway.
Face reveal. That was weird.
That was super
keep
weird.
Going. You're a good Twitter account.
Yeah. People...
Maybe you just got tired.
That's part of my thing of, people are getting self-absorbed on Twitter. He thought he was the greatest thing on earth. I'm like, it's a funny Twitter account, dude. You're not,
You're not Kazurai.
Yeah, you're not breaking hearts retiring here. No one's like, oh no, not he's not like a football star who's been injured in his prime. So dumb. What were we saying? Sony, right.
About who has to report cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling that Sony is less of a company that has one person, and more they have a board.
Yeah.
And on that board is probably the head of PlayStation, the head of yada yada, the head of
TV,
cameras
movies.
And TVs, and head of marketing and all that kind of stuff. and they probably debate and as a unit come up with the ideas of what's going to happen. And I'll bet that that's in there. There's the push and pull of like, well, you know, out of everything that Sony does, just like most companies that are in the video game business, video games drain the most resources because there's a lot of R&D, there's a lot of manpower.
But
that goes
for
into
Sony, it is worth it because it is their most profitable part of the entire company.
It is. But they are also a company, like any company, that is looking to maximize profits.
True.
And so they are probably looking to pull, like, if they're looking at their sales numbers and saying, like, cool, if we keep on this trend, we can make X number, and they're basing their next financials on, like, estimates.
Yeah.
The idea of Fortnite players suddenly being able to play on different systems and purchase other things, like, do those microtransaction numbers equal enough for them to make this shift? Like, it's such a complicated, boring business thing that, like, it's just the kind of thing that Sony would do.
And I wouldn't be surprised, going back to your point last week, if it does change policy. Because if you let this one game do it, do you let then Rocket League do it? Do you let Minecraft? Do you let Call of Duty and Battlefield do it? And Microsoft hasn't done that yet. Like, it's just...
Well, yeah, but they've been saying that, like, they're open to it.
Yeah.
And, like, I guess it is frustrating. As a person who is a Sony fan, it is frustrating.
I was a Sony fan during the dark days of the PS3.
Yes, so was I. But it is frustrating to see that Sony's catching the shit on this end.
It's their first fuck-up of the generation, in my opinion. Like, they haven't done anything this royally bad. Like... I can't think of anything that's garnering such hatred towards Sony, because Sony's been the golden child this entire generation.
Yeah, but the other thing is just like it does frustrate me as someone as a fan of Sony to see that, like, we know for a fact that last generation the console that was in this position was Xbox, and when the question was raised last generation of cross-platform play, it was Xbox that said, like, fuck no, because they're in front. Now Sony's in front. Now they've taken that stance. Now there's a bigger problem, though, is because games have gotten bigger since then.
Way more mainstream.
Way bigger, and
it is at 80 million. The PS4 is at 80 million already. That is lifetime of PS3.
Yeah, and we now experience this juggernaut of a game called Fortnite that comes out of fucking nowhere and dominates the scene. And it's not just a gamer thing, it is a mainstream media style. Like, there are current affair programs dedicated to this fucking game. It's bad. Like, that's bad shit, but, like, that's...
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
like,
the way they're reporting on it, like, kids are...
addicted to Fortnite. That is the wording they're using, and it's fucking disgusting.
And, yeah...
I fucking hate it.
There's that entire other addicted thing that came out, which we can talk about. I didn't even think of that. Did you see, like, the...
Yeah. The classed game addiction as an actual disorder.
Yeah.
Or a disease.
And all the basic description of that is that it's basically how any addiction is described. They just applied it to... They just singled out gaming for whatever reason, which is dumb.
I've plugged this this channel on here before, but Extra Credits.
Mm-hmm.
They did a couple of video series on gaming addiction, quote unquote. And the thing that I really enjoyed about their piece was that they had the writer, the person who wrote it, is actually someone who himself said he suffered from quote-unquote gaming addiction. But he said he made a very clear distinction now that he's, like, removed from it, and that it is not an addiction. He was very much like, it's not an addiction, because an addiction is something that when you stop it, there are withdrawals. There is a problem. There is a symptomatic. What he said it should be best described at is gaming compulsion.
Yeah.
It's like OCD. It is a thing that you need to do to keep yourself sane. You don't really need to do it. You just think you need to do it. And that's a different type of disorder. It's not an addiction like being addicted to alcohol or drugs is. It is a compulsion in the way that OCD or anxiety disorders or something like that is. It's a mental disorder rather than an addiction. And those need to be treated in two very different ways. So to treat people who play games, and the thing was, like, the numbers they were throwing about were so fucking, like, do you play more than 20 hours of games a week? Motherfucker, that's an off week for me. Yeah. Like, if you give me the chance, I'll play 40 hours of games a week. I'll play 60 if I had. And it's not because I'm addicted, it's because I love them.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers sit in front of Netflix for hours a day, 5 to
Literally
6
48
hours.
hours straight, almost. Just over the weekend, people will do that.
People will binge watch television series for just like 10 straight hours a day, and I don't see any. Are you addicted to Netflix news stories?
There's like BuzzFeed.
Oh yeah. 5 signs you might be addicted to Netflix.
Yeah, but it's just a jokey thing. Like,
exactly.
It's whereas like gaming addiction, it's because it's part of that. Like gaming is a still young.
It's still.
Young. Oh, what is it? Industry.
Young medium.
Medium.
I like to call it.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like every other medium has gone through this: comics, movies, TV shows.
I don't know if I was talking about it here or I was talking about it at work. I think it might have been at work. Where I was like, this is a thing that all artistic forms go through.
Yeah, that's basically my point that I'm getting at.
Yeah, every artistic form, from music to television to movies
to tabletop games, to
yes,
board games,
to video games, they've all gone through this. The only difference being that we are seeing this one happen. Like if you go back through history, there are the times where like there's that whole period for like 400 years where the English banned theatre because they thought it was the devil's work. Yeah. Then you've got the period in time in history where the piano was seen as the devil's instrument. The devil's teeth, like some stupid stupid. Yeah. And then there was the period of time where the guitar was seen as the devil's instrument because strumming it was too much like a woman doing her thing. Dude, seriously, like
no, I believe you.
Early Christians are fucking insane.
But even then, like rock was,
and then rock's satanic, and then metal's satanic, and then punk rock is, and it just keeps going and going and going, and then eventually a medium ages to the point where when someone says that thing's the devil's music, everyone just shuts it out and leaves it alone. Yeah, because it's like, well, we've done this so many times that we don't need to do it anymore. Yeah. Video games are what, 30, 40 years old?
40 years old. There's like a prehistory, but we don't really count that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, the age of, like, a lot of people basically use Pong as the first video game.
There is even stuff that's prehistory. Because for me, gaming history starts at the Nintendo Entertainment System, not the 64.
The NES.
Okay, and then there's prehistory before that, and then like there are games before Pong.
See,
but they're not real. Like Pong was the first commercial game.
Yeah,
and then
there are a bunch of but for me, video game history starts with the arcades.
True.
That's where it starts for me. Is that because that's when gaming started being social, as opposed to individual. Yep. And that is when video games became popularized. Was that everyone goes down to the arcade to play the thing?
So basically, with Pac-Man.
Yeah, and if you want to look at the split between like what we would consider gaming's BCE and CE, like it would be Pac-Man probably, or Street Fighter, one of those two. Would be like that's the delineation where suddenly gaming became less of a fad and more of a this thing might be around for a while.
Yeah. What came first, Pac-Man or Street Fighter 2? Must have been Pac-Man.
I'm gonna say Pac-Man. It's gotta be Pac-Man.
Game, whereas Street Fighter 2 was on the Super Nintendo. That's an 80s console.
Yeah, it's gotta be Pac-Man. But like, that's the thing, is that the medium is nowhere near old enough to have gone through all that.
We gotta get rid of the old guys, the old people. Once they're dead, we're good. That's been like my mantra forever. It's just like, just wait for the old people to die. Wait for the people who...
Yeah.
It's the same thing when we saw with Mark Zuckerberg go through the thing, how none of them understood Facebook. We just need them to die, and then people will get Facebook. Then we could have had an actual good Senate hearing. Yeah,
I mean, my concern with that is that the people who are currently in charge will fuck things up enough that it will not be as easy to undo when we are in charge. Maybe. So we need to be fighting now rather than waiting.
I'm not saying just... Yeah, I did say just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, even movies went through this, and movies are a much younger medium than anything else, but they got theirs because they were passive. It's easy to just sit and watch a movie and go, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult because there are people who still, like... But you're doing it, man! You're like, well, yeah, but no, but
and there's a lot of people who still think that most video games should still be Mario Brothers and Pac-Man, whereas video games have become their own mature art form.
Yeah, I mean, again, the same with movies. It took time. Like, it's same with television shows. Television shows are probably a more closer analogy, because they're a lot younger, because TV's only, since the 50s. And television was originally like just variety shows and news. That was all it ever was. And then it evolves and it changes and it grows. Yeah. And, you know, there are so many times throughout history, like, you know, just in the last 60 years, where people would say, well, you can't do that on television, and then someone does it.
Yeah.
And then that sets the new norm. Yeah. You can't do that on television, then someone does it, and that sets the new norm.
Thanks, HBO.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. Like, HBO has now set the new standard for what's allowable on television.
Yeah.
Because it's hard because Netflix came to Australia relatively late.
Yeah.
It's only been in the last few years, so it's hard to throw the comparison. But if you had seen a Netflix page, the way it looked pre-Game of Thrones, it looked like any other television channel. Like, it's just not, the stuff on there was, you know, fairly rote. All the kind of stuff that you wanted. You look at post-Game of Thrones, and literally every television show that's worth a damn and wants to make that big hit, nudity, sex, violence, like as much of it you can cram into a 45-minute slot as possible. That's what they do now because that's the new standard. I'm sure we'll hit a point eventually where, like, that'll go back.
Yeah.
And it's the same with video games. We hit the point where hyper-realism was what we wanted, and now we're drawing back from that.
There are still games doing that.
Yeah.
And then HBO, I'm sure, will continue to do that. Because HBO, that's what they do. They're known for their mature, older shows. Like, not older, I mean, like, just more mature, actually mature.
Yeah.
Like how... like Logan is an actually mature superhero movie.
Yes,
like not mature, like blood, and like it like tells a actual.
But the thing is, there's space for both.
Yeah, no,
you know, for every Game of Thrones, there is, you know, a
Voltron.
Yeah, you know, for every, you know, Logan, there's still a Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, you know, you can have both. You can have both exist. You can still have a world where the Avengers is released and in the same universe, 12 Years a Slave exists.
Yeah.
You can have both ends of the spectrum. But the thing with video games is we're still not allowed to have both ends of the spectrum.
We're only allowed to have Mario.
We can only still be called a toy. And I actually think one of the big things that might help us to grow, and it's sad to say, but I think the death of Toys R Us is going to help, because one of the biggest problems that video games have had over the last decade or two is the thing that older people can't get out of their head is that video games are toys for children. Suddenly, the biggest toy store in America doesn't exist anymore. You can't go to the toy store and buy a video game.
Yeah.
You have to go to a video game store or an electronic shop to buy a video game.
Yeah.
That might be enough to change public perception, because suddenly, when you think video games, you can't think toys. You've got to think something else to go and purchase
That's
them.
a good point, because now you're buying it in the same place you're buying your DVDs, your vacuum cleaners.
And it's the same in Australia, because like Kmart stopped holding video games.
Which I found out the other day. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, they don't sell video games. Ever since GTA 5, they refused to stock R18 games, and then immediately after that, they just stopped stocking video games whatsoever. Both Target and Big W seem to be going the same way, that they want to like get rid of them and not do them. Target refuses to stock R18 games in Australia because they want to keep a family-friendly atmosphere.
Do they sell R movies?
Yes.
Then what?
Don't. Yeah.
That's what
It'll hurt yourself. You'll hurt yourself.
No.
It's fucking frustrating. I know.
That's the thing. Like, oh, this kid, like this R18 movie. I'm going to take my kid to see, but I want to play an R18 video game. I'm like, and I mean Australian R, which is fucking intense. Like, to get an R in Australia, you need to do a lot.
It is difficult, yeah. It's less difficult now. Like, I think they've actually kind of shifted the way that works now. But like, yeah, like what we consider R18, most American theaters won't even show.
Yeah,
is kind of the way it works, because you know they've got, like, America's got their restricted, and we, from what I've been able to gather over the years, when America says this game is R-rated or restricted, that is the equivalent of our MA15 plus.
I thought that was M, like they're...
Yeah, but they just call it restricted.
Yeah.
They do have an
It is
R.
M restricted, yeah.
Yeah, they do have an R rating.
Yeah.
But
I think that's like our X.
yeah, there's porn. There's literally porn.
Then they do have AO, which is porn still, like...
Well, that... I had to do research on this one point in university, and it fucking did my head in, because there are actually... Okay. So, if you want to get into it in Australia... Because this is actually a topic we were meant to talk about a couple of weeks ago with We Happy Few possibly not getting... Was it We Happy Few not getting Australian ratings?
Yeah, We Happy Few not getting refused classification.
So, it becomes a real problem because the Australian Classifications Board is a fucking shit show and a nightmare.
When it comes to video games.
Just in general.
Oh, in general?
It's a fucking shit show and a nightmare because they have two different sets of ratings. They have the movie ratings that we all know, the G, PG, M, MA, R, and then unrated, which is generally your porn shit.
Yeah.
But then they have a set of ratings that are specifically designed for television.
Yeah. That's the only thing that we don't have streamlined.
Which is G, PG, M, MA, AO, AV.
I've seen AV. I've never got what that was.
It's like adult violence or something like that. Or
Very adult.
Yeah, like AV, R, which they won't show on television. I don't think.
When I was having it then. Or it won't show on cable. I won't show on like free
TV. Yeah, like you can show it on cable. And then your X ratings for porn again, which will basically only be the porn channel on Foxtel.
They have that. I have never had Foxtel. So.
Oh, they do.
No, I believe you, but like,
there's an adults only channel. It's like one of the higher channels on the list.
999.
Well, it's kind of dumb because I remember when I had Foxtel, it was like
everyone says that.
you go through the channel list and all of the like it's in the 800s or 900s the channel list, but all the kids channels are in the 700s. So as you're going up, the thing is though, they're restricted to the point of like they're like a pay-per-view thing.
Yeah.
So like you go on there and it's just a black screen that says like for XXX girls pay X amount or hit the yellow button or whatever.
I love XXX. I wonder what XXX girls will be. I like an all-girls XXX movie. That'll be great.
Anyway,
that's Vin Diesel.
Anyway, the research I had to do basically got me to the point where I realised that the Australians Ratings Board use the same metrics to rate movies that they do video games. It's the exact same metrics.
Like, they do, but they don't. Because, like, we don't have banned movies in Australia, to my knowledge. Like, high-profile bans.
It's difficult because of the... And this is where I got to the end of my research. It's difficult to actually explain it because of the length of video games. Because the way ratings are judged is like on a per hour basis. Like how much fucked up content is in this 2.5 hour movie.
That's why like DVD box sets, every episode can be rated M, but if they're like high M's, the DVD box
is rated MA.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I've told this story, I don't know if I'm on the podcast, but the first season of Stargate SG-1 in DVD form in Australia is rated M. The rest of the seasons are rated PG. And the reason the first one is rated M is because in the pilot episode, which comes with it, there's a nudity scene. It's the only time in the entire show that nudity is done, but because it's in there, the whole box set, like that season gets M.
Yeah. Smallville's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like and it's an MA15+, and that is not an MA15+ series.
No.
There's a couple of times it gets quite intense for our CW show.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's why it's MA total for 10 seasons.
And that's a problem when video games are 40, 50 hours long. Even a short video game, like a game that we call short by our standards, like an 8-hour video game. When you have literally killed hundreds of people in an when you're playing Uncharted and you have murdered your way through the Alps, it's easy to see why under the metrics of movies that would be an MA15+ game. But if you look at the content of what's in Uncharted, it should be rated no higher than an Indiana Jones film.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's an Indiana Jones film over 8 hours.
Yeah.
So it should be an M.
But even then, that doesn't work, because I'm playing Doom at the moment. That's an MA game. I'm pretty sure.
Doom is R.
It is R?
Doom is R.
I noticed, like, there are some, like, really intense games that, like, oh, this should be R, but it's MA.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't really always make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't make sense as well because we didn't have the R rating for video games for so long.
Yeah, not until 2013.
Yeah, so that also skews certain things because there are older games you're like, this should be R, but it was only MA, and that was the other problem is that because they didn't have because we didn't have an R rating, it meant that we weren't allowed to actually. So, from what I gathered about the R rating thing, was that we wanted one because we wanted to get the uncensored version of video games because the games that were being released in Australia were being censored.
Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, to appease the ratings boards.
Yeah.
So we wanted the R18 rating so you could get the R18 version of the game and be like, look, just release it and we'll just not sell it to children. It's not that fucking hard. The problem is that when you... The reason that we didn't have an R18 rating was because the way the Australian Ratings Board looked at things was that they considered, like I said before, they considered video games toys. So anything that's a video game can't be more than an MA15 game, surely, is kind of the logic that was there. The second we gave them the R18 rating, suddenly this became a thing that needed to be policed because there are things in here that are explicit. And because we have the ability to give something R18+, that now opens it up to the ability of also being banned. And that's the conundrum we live in now, is that like we have this rating that is designed so that you can put it on a box and it's literally a
It's
big
black.
Yeah, it's a big old flashlight to people saying like, if you are sensitive to shit, don't buy this game. And we still ban games, and we still censor games, and it's a fucking nightmare. It's like, why? Why? Now, that being said, I feel like we should have the Australian Ratings Board.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying get rid of it, but
And
I was thinking of like a bypass because comics did that. Comics just bypassed the parental code, and just like because they were meant to like because of what happened in the 50s, like they're making comics gay. Like no, we're not. And then like they just bypassed it. Like Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns are just like no.
Well, but the thing
and then
is,
they sold like gangbusters and that.
yeah, I mean the thing is,
I'm not saying like I was
Yeah.
just thinking what is that scenario? But I'm like because the Australian Classification Board is a government thing, whereas that was independently policed, like all rating systems are in America.
Exactly, that's the difference we have. Is
yeah.
we have a government rating system, whereas America does not. Everything is independently policed over there.
And
So the ESRB does it to themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, they have to
Yes.
submit to the government
Yeah.
and be like, "This is our game. What do you think?"
the ESRB exists so that the government wouldn't be rating stuff.
Exactly.
And I don't have a big problem with the government ratings because
No, and I was just about to say a game like Hatred, which was a game specifically designed with no other intention. Like there's no storyline or plot in that game other than you kill. It is not, and it's not like GTA. You just kill things.
Yeah.
It is like the point and purpose of that game is to perform sadistic kills.
Okay.
There's no other reason for it. That is literally all it was. And it copped a lot of flack from the gaming industry, people being like, this fucking thing shouldn't exist, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, we're all for pushing the boundaries of experience, but like, you're gonna make people be a serial killer? Because that's literally what it was.
Yeah.
And it was disgusting and ridiculous and should not have existed, because you can't hide behind artistic license for everything. At a certain point, you're just being fucking weird or being like a bad human being. So that game was not released in Australia. That was banned. You can get it through Steam and through other ways. Like you can do shit to get it, obviously, like pirate it or whatever. But that game was not given rating, and I agree with that. 100%. That game should not be released. It's the video game equivalent of a snuff film. Like that kind of thing of like, no, fucking no, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I think there is a difference between should that game get released and should that game be made. Because for art, there is the point of, like, art brings about discussion, and the fact that this game existed and brought about those discussion means, oh, we have a line we're willing to draw, which is just being an actual serial killer. Like, and then we have that boundary. Like, now because of this game, we know where the line is. And then we can just work back from there. But basically, if you have I'm on revenge and I want to do stuff. Like,
yeah, I think the thing with that game, though, is that I think the thing that game actually proved was that we all knew where the line was already.
It just definitively drew it.
I just don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's necessary when if we are going to continue to be, if video games and gamers are going to continue to say we need to be treated as equal and treated not like shit and not like children, then we have to have the ability to know where our line is and not have it spelled out for us like a child. Of like, you can't make this game. Like, no, we know what we can and can't.
Though, like you said, snuff films, like that's their line of doesn't get released. Like other mediums have gone through that. Like there are lines in every like commercial medium.
The difference being on this one is that when it comes to a movie, and especially sort of the ones that we look at, like, let me put it this way: there's not a snuff film out there that hits the mainstream media.
That's a good point.
Whereas, and even at a lower bar, there's not a snuff film out there that all the movie critics are talking about. No. But
gaming is a big echo chamber.
Exactly.
We all know what we're doing.
Exactly. And this video game hit all the major video game outlets, like IGN, GameSpot, all those guys were talking about it in some way. So, yes, Hollywood has a line, but also they have this thing where for anything to get released, they have like this chain of executives that you go up to the top. This game was made by like a dude. Yeah. In his basement, and he released it on Steam, which has like zero curation. Yeah. So like, again, this is a thing that I have been harping on for a long time over the last couple of weeks on this show. Is like, we need to get better because we're not going to get the respect we deserve unless we be fucking better. And we shouldn't have had to have that game be made for us to know that like a game where you are just killing people for no reason. There is no, you're being hunted, there is no, these are bad guys, these are literally just innocent people that you get to fuck up for no particular reason. We should not have needed someone to make that game for us to go, oh, that's probably the line. We all knew that was the line. Yeah. We all knew that, like, whenever someone would say, well, you're killing people in a video game, we all knew the defenses. The game's about survival. The game's about this. Like, we have the ability to use our different metrics and say, like, look, you're not killing people for just blind murder. You're killing them to survive, to do this, to do that. No game... Oh, actually, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. I was going to say, like, no game gives you reward for killing people. Like, that's not true. Nope. There's a lot of video games give you a reward for killing people. But I think the thing is...
Most video games would do.
Yeah, but I think the difference being is that every video game puts its rewards or its killing in context. Yeah. And that allows you to then connect yourself to the character in the situation and then disconnect yourself from the fact that, like, this is not real. Yeah. Because there is a certain circumstance that is happening around that allows this to happen. And
Demons on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Like, demons on Mars. Like, these are mercenaries hunting me. I need to survive. Yeah. You know, I'm in ancient Egypt and everything's fucked. You know, like, context allows you to... And also, like, video games will usually set themselves either in a historical or a modern context that allows you to understand what's going on. Yeah. World War II. Like, no one complains about those games for the most part because we all know what happened in World War II. We all know it was fucked.
And no one's made a game where you play as the Nazis against the Allies. Well, they probably made it, but no.
Well, you play as Nazis in multiplayer.
That's different. Well, that's not the story.
They do always call you the Axis. They never call you the Nazis.
Well, that's just that.
Which
that's
they
just,
should. They should.
What's the word I'm looking for? Cowardice.
Yeah, they should. They should absolutely. Well, it's difficult though because anything with Nazi paraphernalia is banned in Germany.
Well, then that's just.
So you can't market.
Well, just like translate it, just like change the one word. I suppose the other games are like games of service and there's updates getting harder.
Yeah, it's GDPR and all that kind of stuff. Like, gaming is getting more and more fucked as we go along. There's more shit getting in the way of it. But in terms of the rating stuff here in Australia and what it's done, I think there is a place for a government body that tells you this game shouldn't exist. And we're not releasing this because it doesn't. But the thing is, I would prefer the ratings board to be not the movie ratings board, because they don't know what they're doing. I would prefer for the government...
So it's the same people.
Yeah, it's literally the same board.
Okay,
It is literally the same board.
I wasn't. Yeah, when you were saying that before, I thought you meant the same, like similar criteria.
No. I don't think I actually mentioned that properly, but like it's the same criteria,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with length. But also, it's not like there's a division for video games and a division for movies. They're all submitted through the same process, through the same people,
Okay.
and that is the problem.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, when
I'm not saying it's like the same 12 dudes, but like,
Yeah.
I think there's a big department.
Yeah.
But you know,
Which is the same department.
yeah, they rate the same thing. It's all the same. The people watching the whole thing, playing the whole thing. You know, and it's why it's why Outlast had to go through twice, because it got banned first. Outlast 2, I believe it was, banned first, and then they had to go in, do a patch, remove a thing, and then re-rate it. And then it got its R18 rating, and it's like, but that game, the reason it got banned was because of a sexual violence that happens in that game, which I understand is uncomfortable and definitely not something that you want to portray all the time.
That's why it's rated R.
But the other thing is, again, unlike Hatred, it has context.
Yeah.
It is a horror thing. It is designed to be scary and unnerving and uncomfortable.
How
and
many
there's a
horror
story.
movies during the 70s and 80s did we have with the exact same context that came out in Australia?
Exactly. Just watch Wolf Creek and then get back to me. And like watch any modern horror movie, because again, the shit that scares us nowadays is way worse than what it used to be. Like the tolerance for scary is way higher than it used to be. You really have to like, again, we'll go to the Game of Thrones thing. They shock value you with blood and gore because we've been so desensitized to it that the first time I'd screamed and squirmed in like a television show in years was Game of Thrones. The first time I saw something that was like, oh no, please don't. Like that was a long time.
Yeah. Pulling toenails will always do it though.
Yeah, that always does it. I can't do that. I can't do that. That stupid Death Stranding trailer. Ugh.
You could just do that in Mario and now get an automatic R.
Oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. That game's gonna be R too. I can feel it.
Oh yeah.
No, what was the... Oh, and that's the thing that worried me, was that I saw an IGN reporter, or an IGN journalist on Twitter, who I believe is Australian.
Lucy O'Brien?
No, different person. Might not have been IGN. Can't remember.
Okay.
But it wasn't Lucy O'Brien, because if it was Lucy O'Brien, I would have remembered.
Okay. She's great, by the way.
She is fantastic. I love her. But if it was her, I would have known. I would have just said Lucy O'Brien said. But it was another reporter, and they played Cyberpunk 2077, and their response was, "Cyberpunk's amazing. It's not getting released in Australia." And I was like, "Fuck, really?" Like, and because like when an Australian reporter says something like that, you know. Exactly. They know what it's like over here, and that actually made me nervous. Of like, oh god, are they not going to rate that game? Because I really don't want that to happen.
We could just get it off. Oh fuck. Because then we can just get it off Amazon. I'm like, fuck, they're banning that as well. Like Amazon.com. Because of stupid tax laws.
Because our government is shit. But, like, the problem... I think Cyberpunk might be a test. It's going to be the benchmark there. Because I think that's a big enough game that if it get... Because, like, we've had the South Park thing and other shit and people just don't care.
Yeah.
It's like... The South Park thing got censored. I was like, I don't fucking give a shit because South Park's dumb now. Like, fucking whatever.
Yeah, and they censored it, like, comedically, which was good.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing. But, like, other stuff that has been banned in Australia for the most part, I could give a shit about.
Mortal Kombat 9.
That one was that was the starting.
Game.
That was the starting point that got us the R18 rating. Was we finally got the version from America after we got the R18 rating. I remember when that game came out, and it was because it was banned, and we didn't get it. We didn't get it until the R18 rating came in. Had a friend of mine in university who had a copy from the States because he had a modded Xbox, and he brought it over and we played it.
Okay.
It was so good.
Yeah, I'm just like, Xboxes weren't region free?
No, fuck no.
There's DVDs, so yeah.
Yeah.
The Xbox 360 was weird.
Yeah.
But, the PS3, that's when I'm like, just import everything.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, Because Blu-rays are different.
Free.
Yeah, are different. Well, they're not region free, they are region
You can region lock them, but...
Yeah, they are region coded for the most part, but...
You know what is region locked for some reason? This weird animated Thor movie. I have like an 8-pack imported from America. All 7 movies work except for this Thor movie.
Huh. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I had like a downloaded copy.
Okay,
I watched it.
I was going to say, because I have a Universal DVD player if you ever want to borrow it. I got it because I bought a season of Digimon on DVD, and I didn't realize it was an American copy and it couldn't play. So I then went to Big W and bought like a $50 region-free DVD player, because suddenly those things are legal.
You just press 000 and you're good.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it just plays anything regardless.
Okay.
I don't have to put a code. I just pop the disc in and it's like, oh, and it starts playing, which is awesome. But I'm going to go buy a proper version of that anyway. But yeah, like the Australian ratings thing sucks. But I think Cyberpunk is a big test because it'll be big enough and popular enough that if it's not brought to this country, it's going to cause a stink. And Witcher fans are fervent fans. So if it's the same fan base, they are not going to be happy, and they'll make their voices heard.
Or they'll just all buy it on Steam.
I mean, the problem is that you've got plenty of people who really enjoy The Witcher, who do not have the money for a PC.
Me.
So, and I think those are the people that will make the needle move. But yeah, I think, again, for video games in Australia, it's, again, a thing of we need to be better. We need to be able to stand up and actually articulate the problems, because I think apart from Cyberpunk, I think the next one, like, the big thing currently, like we said before, was Fortnite, with it getting all this stuff. We need to make sure we keep an eye on that, and how that goes.
Yeah.
Because my worry is that, because it's a free-to-play game with microtransactions, that we end up in the video games as gambling problem.
Yeah.
And we end up...
Thanks, EA.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And we end up in a situation where games that people truly enjoy that aren't doing anything wrong, necessarily, like Overwatch, start to get rated MA15+ or R because they have microtransactions. And if every game gets rated R because it has microtransactions, then that becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of 16, 17-year-olds out there that just like video games and want to be a part of the industry that suddenly can't play games that they should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's... Yeah. That's why I don't do microtransactions.
Oh, yeah, I don't do them either, but...
I've never been interested in them, and I don't really get why. Like, I get why, but, like...
People spend hundreds of dollars on Fortnite.
Or it's any game, like, in particular, like, starting with League of Legends, really. Like, I get it, but, like, I don't.
I specifically don't get it for a game... I get microtransactions and DLC, like, small DLC for video games that you own.
Yeah.
For games... Like, way back when it was like, get this, small DLC pack of weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can just, you've got that all downloaded to your console, you can use it whenever you want. I don't understand why people are jumping on the bandwagon. Like, people are jumping at the chance to spend money on a game that is free and digital. Because I would urge anyone who's playing a lot of games like that and purchasing a lot of stuff in there to stop and think about what happens when they finally shut those game servers down.
Yeah.
What did you get for your money?
Yeah.
You got a lot of fun, I get that, but the game is free. So you could have had that fun regardless.
Yeah.
Just please be aware that you are giving them money to eventually shut your game down.
Yeah.
That's what worries me, is that what happens when Fortnite servers shut down.
Yeah. Offline.
Yeah, because, at least Minecraft's a fucking video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and in relation to that, there was that... You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the PlayStation...
Fortnite bundle?
Yeah, so PlayStation Italy apparently leaked, or somewhere like that, leaked the fact that they're going to be doing a bundle. And it's the same price as a normal PS4 Pro. I think it's I don't know if it's a 4 or a Pro.
It better not be a Pro. Are you fucking kidding me?
But the idea is that, you get Fortnite. It's bundled in for free. But it does come with Save the World, which is an actual, I don't know, like $30 video game.
Yay.
But no one cares about Save the World. It's just a weird thing.
That game was in development for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And every E3 they brought Fortnite, and every year everyone's like, I don't know what Fortnite is. It doesn't fucking make any sense.
Yeah.
Then they release it. It's a shit show. You throw a Battle Royale mode in there, and it's the fucking greatest thing ever. And it kind of pisses me off. I don't know. I don't know if I'm angry at it or, like, impressed by it. I can't tell anymore.
But, it's this situation just, like, at this moment, especially because it was the day after with like the end of our day of when Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo announced the cross-play
survive together. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Man, going back to the topic we were talking about before. Man, Sony, why are you fucking it up?
Yep, and like, the Nintendo and Microsoft are throwing shade at PlayStation, and then they come out with this. It's just not a good look. And I feel like this wasn't supposed to be leaked. Like, probably the hierarchy, like, hey, let's not talk about this while this is like a hot topic issue. But some
this
stupid
sounds
Italian.
Yeah, this sounds like a thing that they would have put together months ago.
Yeah.
When Fortnite started taking off, of them being like, yeah, we'll just, like, it's free, we know, but, like, I'll bet you get, like, some amount of PSN credit for free with this thing.
You get $15 worth of V-Bucks as well, I think.
Woo!
I don't know if that's a lot or not much.
It's
but
well, A, it's not a lot of V-Bucks, and B, like, $15 a credit, who fucking gives a shit? Like, you can get consoles for probably the same price as what this thing's going to sell for. And some places will bundle in, like, a bonus controller or a bonus video game.
Or
that you
like
could,
a couple of months worth of
plus
or
or something, yeah. But, like, whatever other bundle things that you've thrown into there, you could easily sell or trade for way more than $15.
Yeah.
And get way more for your money. Like, I just don't understand. Like,
It's just...
I mean, it makes...
bet the idea is, like, before the shenanigans happen, it's like, hey, you've heard of Fortnite? Buy it on the PS4 and play with all your friends, because they all own PS4s as well.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's a simple logic, like, I get it, but, like, at this particular moment in time...
And it makes me...
Yike.
And this is the thing that kind of confuses me about the whole Fortnite cross-play, cross-platform thing a little bit, is... I would assume that bundle would have come with some sort of Fortnite branding.
Yeah. Fortnite's on the box.
Okay, cool. So that means Epic would have had to sign off on that.
Yeah.
What?
Epic's not wanting to piss off probably their largest user base, so they're keeping mum about all this.
But also, when the game first launched, they turned on the crossplay servers.
I think they forgot to turn it off.
No, it's been...
Like, I know they launched with crossplay, but that's the thing. My assumption, like, with the way I've heard that story, is that they forgot to actually turn it off.
That's what they said.
Okay.
There is a lot of there's nothing confirmed. There's a lot of speculation that it was because it wasn't at launch, because it was a few days after it launched. After it got like a bit popular, they flipped the switch and then flipped it back, and it was like
just to see what would happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation of just like Epic's as Fortnite was growing and it was becoming the biggest game in the world. It's like Epic just proved it can be done, because it was starting to be a discussion around like Rocket League and all that kind of stuff. And Epic, and like, I think that was around the time that the discussion was like, is it just flipping a switch? Is it that easy? And
if it's built into the engine and the way it's set up, Rocket League says, all we have to do is flip a switch.
Yeah, and the speculation is that Epic was just like, we're just going to flip the switch to prove to everyone it can be done. And then we'll turn it off, and then hopefully that's enough for them to go like, yes, okay guys, it can be done, we'll let it happen. Mm-hmm. But no, Sony's digging their heels in on this one. But it confuses me for them to be like... Because they've also said they're open to it, they want it, because it's the best for their community, but for them to just be like... I don't know, that seems like a weird... You can't have it both ways, Epic. You can't be like, I'm gonna get in bed with Sony, but... also we want crossplay, and not actually make the fucking move.
Yeah.
Like, if I was Epic trying to make that move, I would have just said, like, yeah, we'll do the bundle deal. Can we get crossplay? Because here's what I bet would happen. Currently, the Xbox is priced better than the PlayStation. Has been for a while now. But
you can't buy the original Xbox anymore.
No, but the S is still priced better.
S is cheap.
S has always been...
S is worth... For me, it's a better price value because it's a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yes, exactly. It's a better value proposition.
And it's white. It looks great.
Yep. It does everything that a PS4 does, apart from play God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's not what Fortnite players are really looking for right now. Xboxes are cheap enough. I'm not saying everyone can do this, but like Xboxes are cheap enough that if you were to suddenly rip Fortnite off PlayStation, they would just go buy Xboxes.
Yep. I know a lot of people who have like done the whole goodbye PlayStation, Fortnite, I'm moving to my Switch, and then they're just starting a whole new account on Switch so that they can move
everywhere else except the PS4. And like these are like PS4 fans.
Yeah.
They're like, and like there's no incentive to stay on it besides
The problem-
because there's no trophies.
The problem with that move is that when someone is like, "Oh, buy yada yada," and like it's like back when.
It's not saying like goodbye forever to the PS4. It's just for Fortnite.
No. It's just like when, because again, Sony doesn't fucking care. It's a free to play game. But when Final Fantasy 13 came out, there was a lot of videos on the internet of people cutting up their discs or snapping the discs of Final Fantasy 13 because they were really angry about the game.
That's just a waste of money.
Exactly. And my thought has always been like, dude, doesn't fucking matter. They already got you.
Yeah.
Like, they are already, like, lighting a cigar with the $100 bill you used to buy. Like, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You think that's going to even rate on them? No. And the same with Sony. If a bunch of people are like, well, I'm not dealing with this PlayStation anymore, I'm going to move to the Switch. Sony doesn't care. They already got your money. You already bought the PlayStation. You're done. Like, you are not a factor in this equation anymore.
But they're not getting their microtransactions anymore.
And again, I just don't know if they care about that as much. Like, yes, it's a big deal, but like...
If they didn't care, then they would have let cross progression at least happen.
I mean, yeah, but the number they want to push for the Fortnite story is how many units are out there of PlayStations, because that's how they get people to play on PlayStation instead of everything else.
Which
There's
is what
80
their PR line was. It was like the tone deaf
Yeah.
PR line, but it's like, oh, we just think because like there's 80 million PlayStation players that the Fortnite community will be fine. Like, no, there's like at least 40 million Xboxes. There's 20 million, over 20 million Switches.
Yeah.
There's a fuckload of
PCs.
iPhones and Androids.
Yeah, a billion of those.
Yeah.
And PCs are everywhere. You know,
Yeah,
like
everyone
everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to play together. That's been the dream for a long time. It's like, wouldn't it be great if I bought Call of Duty, which I would never do because I don't like Call of Duty. But let's say I did.
Yeah.
Let's say we live in a universe where that would happen. But it would be nice if I bought that and didn't have to worry about whether or not I bought it on the right system for my mates.
It'd be nice. The Anthem's coming out 22nd of February, theoretically. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have to worry about, like, you maybe getting the Xbox One version.
Yeah, that would
or
be
even
nice.
Dean might get that game. It'd be
Yeah.
cool if I could play with him, but no.
Yeah, it's
Anyone would be great. I want
it would be
friends.
nice to play it, you know, to have it on a system that makes sense. Like, to have the ability to just be like, look, I bought this game, everyone else owns that game, we can play,
Yeah.
regardless of what system we're on. Now, 20
And for the most part, we are there. Like I said, Android, iOS games you can play together.
Mm-hmm.
You, PC, Mac, I guess soon. Like
and
they're
honestly, if Apple was willing to budge on that, surely
yeah.
Sony will be. And that was the thing that I've been listening to over the last week of like a lot of different gaming podcasts. Is a lot of people think, and a lot of people are pretty certain, and I'm willing to join them on this one, that it might not happen now,
It will happen.
but it will happen. But this game is probably what we're going to look at as the turning point.
Yeah.
Fortnite is going to be the one that, like, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's like, there are just too many people playing this game. There are too many people that love it for you to continue to be a dick to them. Because if the Xbox sales do uptick to a staggering degree and the PlayStation sales drop because of this whole thing,
I don't see that happening, but yeah, continue on with the theory.
I can see it happening.
I can see like an uptick, but I don't think it's going to be like.
Honestly, like, nothing out of Fortnite would surprise me at this point. What it's become, if Fortnite was enough to move 40 million Xboxes in a couple of months, it wouldn't surprise me. It honestly wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think it would do that. That's like
No.
They're gonna have to double its sales. And...
It won't do that because there's phones, because people play it on phones.
Yeah.
But if my thought is that if the PlayStation sales stagnate enough and the Xbox sales increase enough, that is enough to make a room full of board of directors scared.
Yeah.
Because honestly, we were talking about it at the start, with business people, they don't think the way regular people do. And business people, the needle doesn't have to move much for them to suddenly be like, okay, fuck, let's do this.
Yeah.
So all it has to do is like slightly pump the brakes on the PlayStation sales and increase the Xbox ones enough, and that'll be enough I think for the Sony board of directors to be like, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because we can't handle this loss. Because they'll just project it. They'll take the 1 month of loss and project it forward and go, we can't fucking handle that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it's the video game industry and anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like, literally anything.
Yeah. There's two things I want to say.
Yeah.
There's a world where there's a nerdy press conference, like not even PSX. It's just like, I don't know, something like PSX, but
PAX.
it's even smaller. The idea is like, yes, Fortnite cross-play plus cross-progression. PSN names are changed. Just all these like little things, like re-updated PlayStation Store. I want to be able to search that stores properly, not just do the stupid scrolling thing. Like, there's enough small things about the PlayStation 4 that if they just... Like, that's why I'm surprised it's... Well, no. I'm going to say that's why I'm surprised it's winning, but the Xbox, from what I've heard, doesn't load.
That's a fucking shit show. Like, if you think the PlayStation is annoying, imagine, like, the slight annoyances like that, except it takes 10 hours to load.
The other thing, with the daily podcast I listen to, Kind of Funny Games Daily, they just had their first year anniversary, and their story on their first episode a year ago was, will PlayStation let Fortnite be crossplay? That was the first story they covered. So literally, we've just come full circle now with the cross progression. But yeah, nothing's changed in a year with this fucking thing.
Well, no, and it like I was talking to my friends at work today. Corporations are like giant boats. It takes a lot to turn the Titanic. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. This is like turning the Titanic. We each need to run to one side, and then back to the other, and then back to the other. Like, that's what we need to do.
I love that part of Pirates of the Caribbean.
I know, right? But that's kind of what we need to do. We all ran to PlayStation because we didn't want the online connectivity of it all. But guess what's going to break the bank for PlayStation is this online connected game that everyone wants to play suddenly.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is run back to Xbox. It's probably what's going to happen for the rest of time, is people will just bounce between the two. Yeah. We're never going to have equilibrium.
Did you see that like that old one where it's the how do you share games, like a 2013?
Yeah.
Adam Boy's giving it to Shuhei. Thanks. Now it's the thing like, how do you do crossplay? And it's Microsoft giving it to Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then thanks.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
I mean, it's rough. It is super rough. I mean, the thing is, though, like, 10 years ago, crossplay, not really a thing that people would have cared about too much.
I think everyone cared about it in their heart, but then like...
People wanted it, but there was nothing big enough to force it. It's been...
Call of Duty was probably, like, the one that was like... you just forced... Like, everyone just got it on 360.
I think it's been 3 games that really have pushed this of like, okay, we need this because it doesn't make any sense to not do it. Rocket League, because that thing was just a phenomenon of like 1 week of just like, woof.
Thanks PS Plus.
Yeah, everybody's playing this fucking game, and people that I know that don't play video games played Rocket League.
Really? Cool.
Yeah. I got a bunch of friends around.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I got a bunch of friends around. Me and my 2 mates are super hardcore gamers. We got enough people to play a 3-on-3 game. 3 of them non-gamers, 3 of them gamers, and we just mix the teams up, and they fucking love it.
Oh, you didn't have gamers versus non-gamers?
No, we didn't do that.
But yeah, the next game?
Yeah, the next game is Fortnite.
Yep.
It's absolutely the one, and I think the one that's been doing it for the longest and like slowly pushing that is Minecraft. Yeah. Because it's on every device. It's on every fucking one.
And now it is cross-platform with everything except PS4. Cross-play, rather.
Everything except...
PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
The one that...
Just...
and PlayStation 3.
You don't need 3 guesses for that fucking one.
Yeah. No, it
doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And Minecraft's a free fucking... Not free, but Minecraft is just a game. Like, there's microtransactions in it, but there's no reason that they should not allow that one.
Yeah.
That one should just be, because they pay their $30-$40 or whatever it is, and they get it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. You got the whole game. They do free updates all the time. So why are you restricting that one?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Microsoft owns it.
Oh, well. This is a frustrating week.
Yeah, because even though there's no news, the news we do have is annoying.
Yeah, the news we do have is annoying. But, hey, you know what? On a positive note, there's plenty of video games coming out over the next several months, and they're all... not all. There are a lot of good video games coming out.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I can't say definitively they're all going to be good, because some of them could be hot trash. Who knows?
One of my friends got an email from EB. I probably got it too. But they were scrolling through it, and it's like the next, like, they just had like logos in like each month.
Yeah.
For some reason, it skipped November. Like, it's like October, December. I'm like, what the fuck? There are games there's
There is Pokemon.
Hitman 2 and Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon and there's another one and Fallout 76.
And 76, yeah.
So
Like 3 games.
I don't know about Hitman, but
Hitman's November.
No, I was going to say about the whole skipping them in the thing. I don't know about Hitman, but I'll guarantee you with Fallout and Pokemon, it's because they want to send separate ones for those.
Like separate emails?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Their own sort of marketing campaign for those ones, because like it's Fallout, which was, I believe, 2015.
Yeah, Fallout 4, 2015.
And if I remember correctly from all the news at the time, was the highest pre-sold game in Australian history.
Makes sense.
And then it's Pokemon. It's fucking Pokemon.
But like, even in like a list of things, like it's just weird.
It's just weird. It was weird that they would skip that. I don't know why they would, but you know.
Maybe they just forgot about that.
And again, like November's a weird time though, because that's when like Christmas stuff starts. Like that's when people start thinking about Christmas and Black Friday and shit. So I don't know if they want.
It's got December in there, so it's just.
Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? I don't know.
It's EB. We don't have Black Friday. We have a 4 days sale. That's what we have.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to more sad news briefly. The Crackdown 3 original co-creator and series creator left. Like, they got him back. Like, yeah, we got the original guy back, and now he's gone. So, is this game fucked? Is this game ever coming out?
This game is coming out. This game will be mediocre at best.
Yeah, and like, I know Phil Spencer's been like, oh, we want this game to be good. Apparently, like, according to that interview with Jeff Gerstmann, the only thing they need to actually fix is the way the character plays.
Yeah.
Like, everything else, like the way it looks, the way like you're collecting shit, like all that is fine. It's just the way it controls for the most part.
He wants it to feel like, and Phil Spencer's
he's a gamer.
He's the kind of guy I would trust to do that.
Yeah.
Because he's a gamer. He is a gamer at heart. He plays video games.
And he likes Crackdown.
Yeah. So he wants it to feel like Crackdown 1.
And
so I'll trust him on that. But
like Jeff Gerstmann did say, they don't want another Crackdown 2.
Exactly.
Just another dud.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the problem is one of those games that has been so long in development that I unfortunately... Okay, so...
There's a difference between like being so long in development, and we've seen it so many times. It was announced in E3 2014. It's been 4 years. We've seen it quite a bit. At least 3 of those.
It's been a. I know it's only been 4 years, but like it's been at so many E3s that the fatigue is setting in.
Yeah.
And so I have this theory, and it's been matched by pretty much every single game I've ever seen do it.
Yeah.
Is that there becomes a certain point in a development cycle where. When you announce it, it's like the game's gonna be the best thing ever, and then it tips the scales when it's been long enough that people start to be like, "Oh, is this game gonna be shit?" And inevitably, what ends up happening is that it's been so long in development, and so many things have changed in like not just the game itself, but also like video games in general.
Yeah.
That the game that ends up releasing is not bad.
Yeah,
it's not good. It's just fine.
And for some people, that's what they want Crackdown 3 to be. Maybe not like Game of the Year, but like kind of on that Just Cause level.
The B game.
Yeah, well, not necessarily a B game because like that's Vampire. The mid-tier
No,
stuff.
no. See, I think Vampire is like a B- game.
Yeah.
Like B game is games like for me is like games like Darksiders and that's the first one I go to every time.
The old THQ. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's the
games.
THQ and like old era Ubisoft, like those mid-tier.
I always forget.
Yeah.
Ubisoft were the mid-tier developer.
Yeah,
and then they got Assassin's
and
Creed.
even early days Bethesda.
Yeah.
Like they were B games. They weren't like AAA hits. They were B games. They became AAA hits because of longevity and the fandom.
Yeah.
But we're talking about games that like, hey, they're not bad, they're not great. They just sit in this middle of like, man, you got $20 and there's a sale on and that thing's in the bargain bin. Sure, I'll give that a shot. Hey, that was a really fun 8 hours.
And I'm pretty sure Crackdown's coming to Game Pass, so
yeah, along with all of the first party Microsoft stuff. So yeah, I think Crackdown might just tip that scale now, where people are starting to be like, is this game bad? And it'll fling back, but it'll sit somewhere in the middle. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and like that's what you really need out of a Crackdown game. Like you don't need like this grand sweeping story. You just want, especially for that game, what it is now, just Terry Crews and one-liners where you're just jumping around the city collecting stuff, and that's all people wanted for
Let me
ages.
blow shit up.
But without the power of the cloud. Remember how they started with that?
I'm pretty sure Phil Spencer said in that interview they're still doing that.
I thought they said they were leaning away from it.
No, he said I think the wording was he was leaning away from it in the marketing because they didn't want that to be the focus of it. They wanted it to be it's a crackdown game.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about that shit. It's still doing that as far as we know, but that's not the focus of the marketing anymore. The focus of the marketing is this is going to be a good crackdown game, and then we have this extra shit on top of it. But who knows? We'll find out on February 22nd, 2019. Along with whether or not Anthem is good, why is Metro,
Metro's that Days Gone. Fuck.
and how Days Gone?
Yeah.
All those questions will be answered on the 22nd of February. I'm going to have a rough week that week.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to want to try and play all of those to say something about all 4 of them. If they all come out the same day, if they actually do, I'm going to want to try and say something about all of them, and that's going to be tough. We need to get bigger, and then we need to hire we need to get bigger to the point where we can hire someone, in quotes, and then we need to hire a third person.
Or we could just, like, disperse the games between a lot of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to take bets between, like, what's going to make that date. Like, what's going to move.
Anthem. Anthem's going to make that date.
Oh, you think it's going to make it?
Anthem's going to make that date.
I think it's going to move, just because of the shitty concept art.
Anthem's going to make that date. Crackdown's going to make that date. Metro might move. Metro's the one I would bank on moving.
Yeah.
And Days Gone as well.
Days Gone seems like it's the one that's going to stay, because the devs are like, we've always released, like, in this time period. We were like, even before it got popular, we were here. Like, that's when the Siphon Filter games came out.
Yeah. Like, the Days Gone, I could see Sony pushing it, like, a week. But not because of Bend, but because of Sony.
Yeah.
Like, Sony being like, no, we want the sales, and, like, push it back a week.
Or they bring it
forward a week, yeah, either way.
I always love that. Like, oh no, it's going to get delayed. You're like, no, bitch, it's getting moved up a week.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah, motherfucker! But,
and then it's broken off.
I think of all of the games on there that's most likely to move, Metro's the most likely, and I think I said this last week. Not because it's going to be like, oh, we're not ready, we don't want to... No, it's not because they want to get the sales and want to move out, but because the Metro developers will be the kind of people to be like, no, we're not ready, push it back a month.
Yeah, and they're savvy enough to be doing that.
And they don't fucking care.
And they're small enough that they can just pop it anywhere.
Yeah, and they don't care. Like,
if you got an April game, nothing really comes out in April.
It would be really... Well, you know, and that's the thing, is that E3 might be over, but we still have Gamescom, Paris Games Week, TGS, PSX,
the
Comic-Cons. There's a PAX in there, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, shit ton of PAX.
There's PAX Australia. There is plenty of
Expo.
Which is PAX Australia this year.
Is it? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's the same fucking thing. Synergy.
Oh, corporate synergy. My favourite buzzword.
My favourite things.
And moving on briefly, PS Now getting downloads.
So does that mean, like, instead of streaming everything, there are games you can download off PSN?
So
it's PS Plus.
It's Games Pass.
Oh, fuck off! Alright.
Okay, my thing with this is Game Pass, good idea. I think, Sony should definitely have their own version of it. My thing is, they spent, I want to say either $400 million or $4 billion on Gaikai to make this shit happen. And if they're just going to give up, that's a waste of money.
No, I don't think they give up. What they do...
Okay, you finish your point, sorry.
No, you're right. What they do is they add the downloading ability because they want people to subscribe to this thing.
Yeah.
Because they want people in the ecosystem, and it will give them more money to do more things. Because the Gaikai thing, yes, it's a big investment, and no, it hasn't paid off yet.
Because I was just about to say, with Microsoft and EA doing that, and you can stream it to any device. It's like, it might not be now, but that's our future plan with it. That's, if Sony is on board with that, they want to do the same. And they've tried it a couple of times, like on their own Xperia, like on their own stuff.
Sony's game plan here, I think, is to be the company that when that streaming your games to any device future starts to happen, Sony is banking on being the company with the infrastructure to do it straight away.
And I think that, like, Gaikai, that's exactly what the point of Gaikai was. I think it's just ahead of its time. Like,
it is, and it's probably something that, whatever the... I assume there's someone like this in Sony, which is like the futurist department, the department of people who are just like, no. 15 years from now,
Like-
as opposed to the businessmen who are like next quarter.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's probably the same department that's like tempered the expectations for PSVR.
exactly.
Because,
That's
like,
that
Shuhei's
division.
come out, and Shuhei Yoshida has come out and said, yeah, we see this like the PlayStation 1. Like,
Yeah,
this is our
and like
long-term-
that's the thing that's really frustrating about Sony right now is that they've got things like PlayStation VR where they're like, yeah, no, like we don't expect it to do well. We're just playing with shit. Like we're just doing it because we think it's fun and we think it's cool and we think it's the next thing, but we don't know how it works. So here's a thing, like one of the greatest thing, I don't know, it's really odd, but with reports like and things that I've learned about PlayStation VR is that Sony doesn't like you just straight up returning that. Obviously.
No one does, but yeah, continue.
No, but one of the things that I really like about it, and I think is really frustrating because the world we live in is a bunch of people who want shit done now and not later, is that Sony actually asks its customers to call them before they return a defective or a unit of VR for like sickness or something like that. Because they want the data points. Sony actually, for the PSVR, they encourage their customers before they like, if you're feeling sick or it's not working or whatever it is, please call us first because they actually want to get all the data points so that the next time they do it, they can be like, well, we found out that this makes people sick, so we stopped that.
Yeah.
Rather than just being like, release it, and then people returning it willy-nilly and then being like, we don't know what the fuck's wrong with this thing, just make a better version. Like, they actually want to know, and I'm like, that's actually a cool thing. Like, instead of just being like, fuck you, we're not going to do anything, for them being like, no, tell us what's wrong, please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing that Sony's usually prone to doing. They usually just release a thing and tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like they did with the PS3. And currently with crossplay. God damn it, is everything going to relate back to crossplay? I can't anymore, Keena. I can't. Can we just stop it? Can Sony stop it? Because they're breaking my heart.
Yeah. I think Sony will get better. Well, they are better. Like, you look at the arrogance, like, even up through the PS3, they were still arrogant as fuck. It's not until Uncharted 2 and the PS3 Slim, but even then they were still, like, weird? Sony was weird for so many years. Just fucking, like, you think Nintendo's weird. They make weird sense.
Yeah.
Nothing Sony did for, like, 3-4 years made sense.
Nope.
So...
They were just fucking themselves into the ground.
So hard.
Yeah.
They still won.
Like, yeah, like, in a weird, like...
It's because of, like...
tortoises faster than the hare kind of way.
Yeah.
Of like, what the fuck is happening?
But yeah, no, it's... Sony... They won't get to that level. Like, they're not going to charge $600 for a console.
No, because that's
They're
just
not-
bad business sense at that point.
Yeah, and they know it. They've they've tested
They've
it.
done it before.
But I don't... On that quick point, I don't get why they did that, because literally they're every other console has been, it's $100 cheaper. Like, PS1 was $100 cheaper than the Saturn. The PS2, I don't really know. They came out.
I mean, the PS2 was pretty expensive here in Australia.
Yeah. I'm talking about American prices because that's
Yeah, I mean,
what
the thing
about.
with Sony was that, like, and we said it before, and you've said it a bunch of times, it was hubris.
Yeah.
They hit that point where they realized that they could develop the system that was more powerful, that had, a better system. They banked on that cell processor. They threw everything in that system. Like, it
It's
was
the
backwards
Blu-ray
compatible.
player, which is like, we work for DVD players, it'll work for Blu-ray players.
Yeah, it's backwards compatible on both,
PS1
PS1 and PS2. But the thing is also, that thing was expensive to make.
Yeah.
Like,
They weren't making, like, no console make profit unless you're Nintendo.
No, but they were not making anywhere near amount of profit.
No.
Because the thing with that system was that...
Hemorrhaging money.
And essentially, like, the thing that made the price drop, like, really, like, a big price drop, the thing that really put it back into, like, oh, this is a feasible range, was when they ripped out the PS2 compatibility. They finally ripped that thing out. It was like, oh, this thing's like $300 cheaper. Okay, cool. Like, that's more reasonable.
And then they brought out the Slim, and the Slim, I think, is a turning point in the...
Oh, it's the turning point in the console's life cycle, but in terms of, like, where the costs were,
Yeah.
when they ripped out the PS2 compatibility, you're like, oh!
And then they probably looked at it like, we can strip out half this shit now and make it slim.
Yeah.
I always like, most of the time I like Slims.
Most of the time.
Because, but I don't like the PS... PS3 Poor Slim.
No, I like it. It's fine. It's growing on me because I see it a lot every day.
Okay, fair enough. But like,
I didn't like the look of the PS3 Slim when it first came out.
I get that because
I
it's
didn't
like,
like
oh,
the-
it's new, but
Yeah.
like it's so much. I think it's better designed than the PS3.
Yeah, and I don't like the PS2 Slim either. Like, look when I first saw it, but it's a growth thing. Like, I had a PS3 Slim for the longest time,
Yeah.
and then eventually I was like, you know, that's actually a good looking
I don't
console.
like the Super Slim.
I don't like the Super Slim either.
Fucking grill.
And same with the PS2 Slim. I didn't like the look of that thing until I had one for so long, and I was like, you know what? Actually, it's not too bad.
They didn't need the fucking expansion packs that no one used.
Yeah. I mean, the fat one was cool with the like tray that came in and out.
Yeah. You could twist.
'Cause that was the
PlayStation
first-
Lego.
Yeah, because that was the first system to do that
Really?
tray spitting in and out thing.
I suppose it is.
Because
yeah.
everything else was like, hit the button, open the disc tray, pop it in. That's the PS1.
Yeah.
And everything else is cartridge based. Even the Dreamcast is open the thing, and
What's Xbox? That must have been normal disc.
that was the yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the disc tray as well, like a CD player type
Yeah.
thing. But that was
No one bought it.
Yeah, no one bought it. No one cares. And then you got the PS3, which I thought was just the coolest
What was
thing ever.
GameCube was.
GameCube was open the top, put the disc in. Like, it was all the same.
Yeah.
'Cause
Huh.
PS2 was the only one that had that mechanical one. That's why I liked it.
That's
I
weird.
thought that's why I liked the fat one, because I thought that was cool. Whereas the PS2 was back to putting it in the tray. And I was like, this is shitty.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't what I want. This
Yeah.
isn't like cool and sci-fi. And that's why I like the PS3, because that was one of those ones for like your car dashboard where you just slide the disc in.
Yeah.
And that's what we got now across everything. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first thing they change on new systems.
Wow, I
Just
don't
the
think
way-
my eject button works anymore.
Well, it's just the way disc input is in this day and age, because that sliding the disc in, a lot of times on consoles, that's the first thing to go, is the drive.
That's why my PS3 doesn't work. My Blu-ray
Yeah.
player Lite doesn't work. Apparently, I can just clean it with an earbud and it'll work again. But I don't want to destroy my PS3.
Yeah.
But I can still play PS1 games on it.
Yeah.
Any PS1 I have.
Alright, we're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but if you did like the show, make sure to hit the like and subscribe. Check out the Amalgam show later on this week. And comment, email, amalgamshow@gmail.com. Next week we'll be back. We'll see what the news is like, but maybe we'll do something different next week for the Games Lab.
Maybe. What is next month?
Next month is,
rather.
yeah, next week is the 1st of July, I think.
1st of July. You know what that means? It'll be the 30th when we
The
record.
30th? Okay. 30th when we record, but it will be July by the time we are back.
July. I feel like July is something. A bunch of stuff happened.
Octopath Traveler.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't have a Switch.
I have a Switch and I will play that game probably at some point. I don't know. I guess it depends on whether or not I finish Assassin's Creed Origins between now and the release of that game. But yeah, we'll see you next week and we'll see if we've got something special. Maybe.
Maybe. And I don't know if I want to do that special thing as a Patreon bonus or not.
Ooh, maybe. It depends on the news.
And depending on if I can figure out how Patreon works.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.